What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with week number 11 action here in the FCS Dynasty, and a lot of great action on tap as we are seeing some high-intensity games in this episode. Hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand spanking new to the channel, as we're just going to hop right into this thing, man. We are going to hop into this first thing that we got going on. Tenn-Martin, number 13 ranked team in the entire country. They're going to go play against Eastern Illinois, who is ranked number 12. And both of these teams are trying, both kind of long shots. They're both a couple games out, but both are trying to chase down Southeast Missouri State, who currently has sole possession of first place in this conference. So not only conference implications, but also potentially some at-large bid implications as well, as Tenn-Martin, they try to go a little spicy to start this game, but it does end in an interception. So Lobdell is going to come out onto the field, but he throws an interception too. So Tenn-Martin, led by Evan Turner on the defensive side of the ball, who's having a great season, by the way. He averages 7 tackles a game. He flies all over the field and also gets his hands on the football there as well. So pretty slow starting game, I would say, for both teams. Both tied up at 3 apiece still, as Donnie Jacobs going to take a big time sack here as well. So now 3rd and 17 from the 9-yard line. Really important to get out of the back of their own end zone, but Donnie Jacobs going to launch this ball down the field. He finds his receiver, and it's caught for a first down. Threw it over the head of Russell Matthews, who's one of your guys' custom players too, by the way. He's entering his senior season. That's just a big time throw there by Donnie Jacobs, who really is a pretty underrated quarterback. Comes in 15-4 thus far in the year, looking for a 16 touchdown pass of the season, and he's gonna get it. Man, what a window did Donnie Jacobs just throw that ball into. Oh my goodness, that is what I call a big time play. And Tenn-Martin, they will end up taking the lead as we get closer to the end of the first half. Jacobs looks for some more points before we go into halftime, and Jacobs is going to get it. Yet another touchdown grab for the Skyhawks. And early on, they are going to be soaring in this game at the moment. 17-3, and it puts a lot of pressure on Corey Lobdell, who he's going to throw a pass up. It's not a great pass, but he throws a pass up, and it does end up getting intercepted. So just a rough day for Lobdell, who I believe throws his second interception here of this first half. You absolutely do not like to see it. Not even sure he was trying to get, I think he was trying to get to the tight end, but that tight end was firmly covered. And Tenn-Martin, they're going to get a field goal off of that. And Chris Harris, he's one of your guys' customs. He was actually the one that kicked the field goal for the Skyhawks. But it's all about that defense here early on. 20-3 going to be your score, as we'll see if Donnie Jacobs and company can add some more points onto the board here now, as Jacobs has a clean pocket to work with. Throws over the middle of the field. Guy's receiver, and he will make the catch. Donnie Jacobs now with over 200 yards passing on the day. He finds his receiver there too. And now the Skyhawks are in the red zone again. We'll see how they attack this red zone opportunity. It's looking like Jacobs trying to pass the ball to the right hand side, but it's going to be deflected away. And Adrian Sims gets a big time interception that might spark just a little bit of hope here for the Eastern Illinois Panthers. This is a very critical game here for both football teams right now. We'll see who wants it more as Eastern Illinois comes out onto the field. Starting on the 26-yard line, it's going to be a speed option over to the right-hand side, and Lobdell's got some space to work, and he will cross the 45-yard line. First down for the Eastern Illinois Panthers. And when that passing game hasn't been too that effective, you don't got to go to that running game as well, and eventually takes them into the red zone, where they've been pretty successful this year. They're scoring on 80% of their possessions, so in that upper middle class here for Eastern Illinois, as they throw over to the left-hand side, and sure enough, there will be another red zone touchdown for the Eastern Illinois Panthers, who cut this down to a 2-possession game, but, you know, too little too late, unfortunately, as the Skyhawks, they do come out of this game, winning this game, by the way, and Tenn-Martin puts them in a better spot to potentially make a run at that conference championship title late in the season. But if they want to be conference champions, we're going to need a little help from Murray State, who actually does play Southeast Missouri State up next. But Tenn-Martin does get the 6-2, so bare minimum, they're looking in pretty good shape to get an at-large bid. So now we'll see if Murray State can provide a little bit of help here as they come in 5-3. They have not been great in conference play, 3-2 coming into this one, whereas Southeast Missouri State, they have actually are undefeated in conference play. They had that slow start in the beginning of the season, but have rattled off 5 consecutive wins thus far this late portion of the season. We'll see if Southeast Missouri State can keep that thing rolling, as there's a ton of customs here on the Southeast Missouri State squad, just on both sides of the ball. As now Bobby McNeil will take the field for the Murray State Racers. He's going to throw it out to the left-hand side. It's going to be the receiver going to work there, as that is Ken Trill that will eventually make the tackle. But that was a nice throw there, able to get it to midfield. Is now a few plays later now, 3rd and long for Bobby McNeil, who throws it out to the right-hand side, but it's going to be intercepted, as it looks like Kelly Russell is going to make them pay for the overthrow, and that overthrow seems to be very costly as well. Oh, you hate to see it, as Southeast Missouri State, they have one of the best defenses in America, and it makes up for what's been a rough offensive year for Southeast Missouri State. One of the worst teams in terms of actually getting yards, and even when they do get yards, occasionally that fumble bug does affect them in a pretty major way. So Murray State doesn't have to wait too terribly long to get the football back, and they actually take the lead here. They're going to be up 3-0. As now Travis Johnson looks to throw over to the left-hand side. He does find his receiver, though, and his receiver is going to make a big-time play, but look what happens here towards the end. We are actually going to see that flag being called for unsportsmanlike conduct. So the big gain downfield will stand, but it's 1st and 25 instead of 1st and 10. Not an ideal spot, especially when you're basically being asked to throw it towards the end zone, and Travis Johnson trying to get it all back at once. He throws an interception here yet again that will end up being intercepted here too. So you know, it's tough to see, but Murray State, they're doing what they need to do so far. We'll see if their offense can produce enough, and actually they're finding a lot of explosive plays against the Southeast Missouri State defense. That was Kelly Russell that actually had the mishap in coverage. Now he did rush back in order to make the tackle, but it does set up yet another red zone opportunity. They haven't been able to punch it into the end zone yet, but 3rd time is going to be the charm, as Murray State is going to find the end zone. Touchdown Racers, and they are going to gallop to a 13-0 lead after that extra point. So we got an upset alert on our hands now, as Bob McNeil trying to put some daggers in. They're not going to be afraid to take them big shots, I'll tell you what, but Ken Trill will get the interception. That is the 2nd interception for this defensive backfield core. It's a very experienced defensive backfield. Both safeties are seniors, and Kelly Russell and Ken Trill. And now Southeast Missouri State will take over at the 31-yard line as Travis Johnson tries to get something going themselves, but offensive line not doing a great job of holding up there. And now it's going to be 2nd and 10 with Travis Johnson taking a massive shot but staying in the game. As now 2nd and 10 coming up, Johnson looking to set up the, no, it's going to be a running play, and it's going to be on the ground. Murray State is going to recover the fumble. What is happening for Southeast Missouri State? This is not how you expect your top 10 teams late in the season to play, but they've been playing down bad, borderline down horrendous, as that is another interception that Travis Johnson has thrown who's been a little bit inconsistent on the year, as that is now the 10th interception that this junior quarterback has thrown in the season. It's been a rough campaign for Travis Johnson here in this one, but Murray State, they will take a 20-0 lead. Later on in the second quarter, just trying to get something going in here before we go into halftime. That should help quite a bit as Travis Johnson, he rolls out to his right and gets enough thrown on this football to set up a goal line situation inside the 5-yard line. Johnson throws across his body, has a man open in the back of the end zone, and that will be caught for a touchdown. So that does at least cut it to a 2-score game, but Murray State, they will tack on a field goal before we go into halftime. So Murray State comes into the second half with a 23-7 lead, but a chance to make this lead even bigger early on as it's fumbled on the ground again. Murray State, they have been very optimistic on that defensive side of the football. They settle for a field goal though, making it 26-7. So definitely a free possession game, and just, oh boy, Southeast Missouri State, they're just falling apart. They are really just falling apart right now. I don't know what to say. It's just been that kind of day here for Southeast Missouri State, and you know, defensively, they're not even playing great either. They have at least at this point allowed almost 30 points, and that's not what we're used to seeing this Redhawks defense doing. It just looks like no matter what Murray State wants to do, they're just able to make it happen, man. As again, there's Kelly Russell not able to necessarily make a play in the football. So now another red zone shot for the Murray State Racers. This is 1st and 10 for the 11-yard line. They go to the fullback, and the fullback is going to be rumbling and stumbling his way into the end zone. Touchdown Racers. And just terrible discipline there, frankly. Bam Bam Hendricks can't make the tackle. He's a senior. And now Murray State with a chance to make this a 30-plus point lead, and they're going to do it. They actually will do it here. A 36-yard touchdown pass for Bobby McNeil. And sure enough, this Big Ten Conference Championship race is going to get a lot more interesting now as Murray State wins 46-7. So we'll see Eastern Kentucky and Samford play later. They're going to actually play against each other, and the winner of that game is going to pull into a tie for first place against Southeast Missouri State for that conference title. But for now, we'll shift things over to the Big 12 Conference as Chattanooga goes on the road to take on the Alcorn State Braves. Now, Alcorn State has not gotten a lot of love on the national level, but they are 4-1 in conference play right now, and a win here against Chattanooga on their home stadium will provide them the opportunity to essentially control their own destiny as they're trying to get to that conference championship game. But they're going to have to find a way to deal with this spicy passing attack from Chattanooga. They can put some points on the board quickly, which is one reason why I'm particularly excited about this game, because both offenses can fill it up quickly. And speaking of filling it up, Rod Robinson, he's going to throw down the middle of the field. He finds his receiver, and that's going to be an also very big touchdown. Rod Robertson with a big-time throw to get us going. That's going to be a 77-yard touchdown pass. Finds Josiah Greenwood there, too. And just Robinson able to get that time that he was looking for. I mean, look at the space that Greenwood had. Just creating big-time space. I could have completed that pass. I was a Division III cross-country runner, but Chattanooga finds itself down 7-0, though. Mark Spicer wants to hold serve, though, and it looks like he just might. Big-time throw down the end zone for Mark Spicer, too. And this is what happens when you give Mark Spicer time to throw the football. He will dial you up and slice you like a bunch of tomatoes. And now it's a tie ball game, though, 7-all, as Rod Robinson looks to throw the football yet again. This time, he's actually going to find his running back. Yes, that is the running back coming out of the backfield. No gloves either. Catching that with his bare hands. It's now 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. Robertson going back to work again. Rolls to his left, fires, and it's going to be caught in the back of the end zone again. That's another touchdown pass thrown to Josiah Greenwood. That's already his second catch of the day. Rod Robertson doing a good job making some things happen in this one. And the Robinson show still going to keep going as he'll go play action this time around. Throwing this time another deep ball. He's not going to stop. Somebody stop this man because he's been an absolute problem. Touchdown, Alcorn State. That's going to be a 58-yard touchdown pass. Big time throw. One-on-one coverage too. And what's Chattanooga trying to do? I don't know what we're trying to accomplish there. Not how I would try to stop this Alcorn State offense. There needs to be some adjustments made. And Chattanooga, they also need to get points up in a hurry. This might help though. Down the sideline, gets away from the kicker. And now it's a foot race that he typically doesn't lose. Touchdown, Chattanooga. And they will answer back. So 24-14 here late in the first half as Robertson has a chance to put points on the board. Before we go into the locker room, he's going to fire downfield yet again and finds his receiver yet again. Touchdown, Alcorn State. And Rob Robertson, he's on fire right now. That's his fourth touchdown pass of the first half. Who's going to be able to stop this man? I have no idea. This is not how you do it, though. Giving the ball right back to the Alcorn State Braves before we go into the locker room. So they might get more points on the scoreboard. Are they going to break the scoreboard? I have no idea. But what I do know is that Alcorn State will take over at the 20-yard line. Robertson facing pressure this time. Still gets it out. Doesn't matter. And it's the touchdown for now, but we will check out the penalty. They're actually going to call a face mask, and of course, has no bearing on whether that's a touchdown or not. So they get it, and Alcorn State, they have a massive lead here. 41-14. I expected this to be a little bit more competitive of a game, but, you know, it just hasn't happened yet. We'll see if the Chattanooga defense can wake up a little bit. Just give them a chance to come back, because Chattanooga, they are very capable of putting points on the board, and Alcorn State defense, it isn't the best, and that's why they're off to a slow start prior to getting into conference play. As now Robertson's going to throw down the left-hand side. He's going to toss this one up, and Josiah Greenwood is an absolute menace. The defensive coordinator for Chattanooga, he's going to have nightmares about this kid right here when it's all said and done. Another touchdown grab. That's the fifth touchdown pass, by the way, for Rob Robertson. And now Chattanooga, they're getting a little bit desperate. They're actually going to try to throw downfield too. And the halfback pass actually works to perfection there. That's a touchdown for Chattanooga. I mean, just look at this. You usually don't expect your halfback to make this kind of throw. And sure enough, he will end up making the catch there too. So 28-1-48. They still need a lot of points, and that means they got to find a way to stop Rob Robertson, who goes with another play action down the sideline. Again, it's caught by Josiah Greenwood. Just absolutely electric football playing right now. Makes it a 30-plus point lead yet again. It was just the Alcorn State Braves day. They're going to win this game. The score makes it look closer than what it actually was, as Alcorn State gets 69 giggity to Chattanooga's 42 points. So let's take the time to have our very first studio update of this episode. And how about this to get things going? UNLV gets upsetted by South Dakota in conference play as the Coyotes win 21-16 and UNLV falls to 6-3. However, Brown is looking to try to get a higher seed in the FCS playoffs, and they're really making a difference. The first-ranked team in the Ivy League, they destroy Harvard 62-14, and now they're 7-1 on the season. Sam Houston State also takes care of business as well. They played against the winless Appalachian State Mountaineers, and Sam Houston State wins 35-13 to show that they are a top 5 caliber team. Also winning their game is the Akron Zips, who are still undefeated, but they did have a close call against Ball State. They only win by 4 points in conference play. Looking to make a late season push though is the South Carolina State Bulldogs, who are now 7-3 on the season, and they get a big blowout victory against the Hampton Pirates, winning by 35. We'll see if South Carolina State can sneak into the top 25. Also looking to make a late season run is New Hampshire. The Wildcats made that deep run last year and won a national championship the past couple of years as well. They win 42-10 as they try to get higher up into the top 25 too. Weber State, however, could be a team that will fall out of the top 25 as they lose in conference play to Montana State. 38-31, the Bobcats win as Weber State falls to 5-3. Eastern Washington also getting upsetted by North Dakota as the Fighting Hawks are looking to sneak their way into the playoffs, trying to get that automatic bid. North Dakota winning 35-33. And of course, how about Jackson State starting to mix things up here late in the season? They beat Arkansas Pine Bluff on the road 29-26, as Arkansas Pine Bluff is now just 5-4 on the year and in danger of possibly missing the playoffs again. But we swing things over onto the West Coast now as we got Northern Arizona, the number 10 ranked team in the country, taking on the number 15 ranked Portland State Vikings, as Northern Arizona specifically is trying to keep up with Sacramento State in that epic race to win the Pac-12 Conference Championship. And also Portland State, we've always felt, at least for me personally, it could be a little bit on the overrated side. There's been times where they've been under 500, but yet they've been ranked in the top 25 this entire season. We'll see if they get exposed here against Northern Arizona, as Portland State, their first drive does end up stalling out, so they have to punt this football away, and you know what they're going to do. They're going to mess up. They gave it to Darryl White here, and Darryl White is going to take it all the way to the crib. Touchdown, Northern Arizona. And just like that, the Lumberjacks, they're going to chop down the Vikings here and take that 7-0 lead. However, Carl Pierre has some other things in mind, though. He's going to throw to the right-hand side. He finds the Sherman, Chase Sherman. He'll pick up a first down there, too. They move him out into that slot receiver spot. Starting to see the innovation that takes hold as we get into, that 2010s era of college football, as Sherman will end up punching his way into the end zone. That will be a touchdown for the Vikings, and they will answer the call. They got this game all knotted up. So now 7-7 is going to be your score, but Northern Arizona, they do have another quarterback in the game. That's Tyler Murray, and Tyler Murray, he's a pretty good quarterback, man. I'll tell you what, he's going to get this ball out to Justin Williams here, and Justin Williams going to get a 43-yard bomb. Just trusting him to make a play in one-on-one coverage, and it works out his way. So now, 3rd and long coming up. They're still on the fringes of field goal range, so we need to pick up this first down. Instead, it's going to be intercepted, and it's going to be an epic race down the sideline to Darryl White. Catch him? No! He cannot, and that will mean Portland State, they will actually take the lead. 69-yard punt return for a touchdown. Oh my goodness. How about that, making a statement here, as late in the first quarter, Northern Arizona now finds itself down by a touchdown. Murray throws to the right-hand side, and it's going to be caught. Receiver trying to dive for the end zone pylon, but the defender's like, nah, fam, you can't do that to me too. He really did try it, though. So it's going to be 1st and goal from the 3-yard line here as Tyler Murray is going to go into a goal line formation. We'll see if this ends up going to Darryl White. And no, it's the fullback. The fullback, no, fumbles the ball. It's a scramble. Who gets it? And they're calling it a touchdown on the field. But, man, it's one of the offensive linemen that pick it up. Absolutely incredible. And Northern Arizona, they now have the lead. And they try to get spicy after that. I don't know why you try to run this halfback play. Honestly, does not work very often. Adam Freeman is going to pick off Darryl White here, so it does keep Portland State in this game, but the Vikings cannot score. So still down by a field goal as Tyler Murray gets crushed from behind, and Portland State gets the fumble recovery. So the defense answering the call as Tyler Murray is going to put the football on the ground, unfortunately. You hate to see it, and the Vikings are in the red zone. A chance to take the lead, as looking over to the right-hand side, gets it out to the receiver. It's Ryan Otis that will deliver the lead for the Portland State Vikings. That will be a 17-yard touchdown pass as well. And how about that? Ryan Otis winning out there on the perimeter. So we'll see if Portland State can hold the lead going to the halftime locker room. Could be the last play of the first half, but no one can bring him down. And Daryl White at the buzzer is going to help Northern Arizona go into that halftime locker room. And it's a 24-21 lead at the break. It's been a back and forth first half thus far, and we are going to be in for a really exciting one as well. So now, second half of action underway as the Sherman trying to go back to work. He's going to make some guys miss too. He's not the only top-tier running back that's on this football here today, and he'll have a 65-yard touchdown run as Portland State will seize the lead there. And how about this? Lots of defenders around the Sherman tank, but he ran like a tank there and ran through the entire Northern Arizona defense. So Tyler Murray needs to answer the call as his guys need him to produce. And produce he does. A big time throw down the sideline. Tyler Murray, one of your guys is custom, by the way. What's unique about him is that he does have starting experience. He actually played some football at Sacramento State, so he knows how to run an offense. He's better than most backups. And Tyler Murray gets that touchdown pass that he's looking for. Now 31-28, but Portland State, they can't respond either, so now it feels like Portland State is letting it slip away just a little bit. Just a little bit now. This is becoming a very critical drive. 2nd and 13 coming up as Murray drops back in the pocket, throws to the right-hand side. It's caught, and now down the sideline again. It's going to be yet another touchdown for Northern Arizona. That will be a 65-yard strike as well. I told you Tyler Murray can play, man. I need you to stop sleeping on this man now. 38-28 is your scores. We're in the final quarter of play. Sherman's going to try to set up the halfback pass. Tries to get it out to Carl Pierre, but Carl Pierre, he can't land on the football. So that's going to be yet another recovery for Northern Arizona. Yet again. And the Lumberjacks can extend this lead further. Do they go to Daryl White? They don't. They go up in the air, and it's going to be caught yet again. Tyler Murray just having his way at the moment. Just a little post pattern and just winning on the double team. I mean, I don't know what you could do about it. So now, 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line. Daryl White gets the carry. He spins off of a defender, and he will be in the end zone. Touchdown Lumberjacks. 45-28 now. Going to be your score as Sherman trying to get his offense willed to victory. But it looks like Northern Arizona, at least in this second half, they are really starting to exert their dominance. It's been a dominating second half here for the Lumberjacks as they go back onto the ground. Murray trying to set up the triple option, but it doesn't really work like that. So a 3rd and long coming up here. Goal line situation, by the way, although the Lumberjacks have been pretty good on 3rd down. 5 for 10 so far in the day. As now, 3rd and goal from the 13-yard line. As they're going to run a tad bit of time off the clock here. No, they go to the fullback, and the fullback finds his way into the end zone. So he will end up getting a 50-burger. Not as many points scored as Alcorn State that we saw earlier in this episode, but Northern Arizona nonetheless will put that 50-burger up on the scoreboard. 52-28 going to be your score. In Portland State, they're just at a point where they just want to go home. They just want to go back into the campus dorms because less than 2 minutes left to play. They decided to just punt the football, but Daryl White was not done with these boys. They wanted to send a message out here tonight that they were one of the best teams in FBS college football. And I think that message was received very well. So 59-28 ends up being your score here as Lumberjacks, they will get that win that they're looking for. They will need a little bit of help from Sacramento State if they do want to go and tie things up in conference play. But man, how about what Northern Arizona's been able to do? They've been playing with backup quarterback and Tyler Murray, and they just have been able to keep things rolling here. So now we'll keep things out on the West Coast, as this is going to be a battle of backup quarterbacks. Both Garrett Keefe and Jamison Skinner, who's one of your guys' customs, both are injured and will not be available in this game. Montana and North Dakota State will be going to battle, however, as Montana has recently entered themselves back into the top 25. They are literally number 25 in the entire country. Meanwhile, North Dakota State, they have been they've been a little questionable. I'll say that much. They have not been that great in conference play. They're still ranked number 17 in the country, and some of that might be because they are one of the blue bloods of FCS college football. They have not won a national championship, but they are a mainstay in the playoffs. That is a big thing about the North Dakota State Bison. But Mark Folden, man, we're finding out that Mark Folden can actually play. He's got a pretty good arm on him too, and we'll see how he does with the opening drive. But first, Mario Matthews going to take the handoff, a former top player, as Mario Matthews runs it into the heart of the Bison defense and picks up 29 yards there on the ground, shaking off a tackle too in the process. That could have been no gain there, but instead a red zone opportunity for the Montana Grizzlies as Folden rolls to his right, finds his receiver, and Montana, they will end up striking first here. They will take that 7-0 lead. As later on in the first quarter, North Dakota State struggling on offense still. So Montana back with the football again, throw it to the right-hand side. And how about this? Montana down the sideline, touchdown Grizzlies. And this stadium, one of the better stadiums in FCS college football, if I'm keeping it 100% with you guys. Big time throw, and this crowd is getting crazy here. 14-0 will be your score. Throwing it over Maximus O'Hara. So the Bison down by 2 possession. We'll see if they keep their run-heavy approach, and I'm sure this will be a very convincing way to, hey, maybe you should stop running that football, as Montana does force a turnover there on the ground, and they don't score there, but North Dakota State, got that in the back of their head that, hey, maybe running that football, we might need to try something else and maybe try something different other than Brian Hurst getting into the open field. And on special teams, Montana gets yet another touchdown up on the scoreboard. They eventually balloon this lead up to a 27-0 affair. It has been a blowout thus far, but John Weeks, to start the second half, he's going to finally get that goose egg for North Dakota State off the scoreboard, as he will take it all the way into the end zone. It will now make it 27-7. So we'll see how Montana plays out the rest of this game. They got the big lead right now, but Don Pedro Alexander, now that is a name that I have not said in a long time, kind of been phased out quite a bit in this offense. Actually lost his starting spot, but makes a big time play there to help get the Montana Grizzlies in the red zone. We'll see if they can finish in the red zone. No, but it's going to be intercepted by Chase Stitch, and that will be considered a touchback as well. So if North Dakota State's going to make this comeback, they're down by 20 points right now. That is one thing that they would definitely need. They need those kinds of plays, right? But now we actually need to see the Bison score, and they go to a different quarterback. This is the Bison's third string quarterback, and it looks like it too. I'm just going to keep it real with you guys, as looks like Rilo Young might have gotten his hands on the ball. Did he recover the fumble? No. He wears 95. But either way, Montana, they're going to win this game, and the Bison, they're just at 500. They're going to be 4-4. And North Dakota State, they're actually in legitimate danger of missing the FCS playoffs. We'll see how the AP polls do rank the North Dakota State Bison, but Montana, they've been playing some pretty good football as of late. And if you want to play really good football, down this final stretch is the most important time to do so because it has the most effect on the polls. Now, that being said, we will switch over to another top 25 matchup that we got going on here right now, as it's Eastern Kentucky taking on Samford. We did see Southeast Missouri State lose earlier on in this episode, so the winner of this game is going to be in a tie for first place for that conference title. So, big game before this episode even started. It's an even bigger game now that we have a little bit of context from earlier in this episode. We'll see if Luis Rose can be the difference, as Cameron Coates is actually going to be the one to try to scramble initially, but the ball gets fumbled onto the ground, and one of the Samford linebackers actually is going to stumble upon it. So again, Samford, they still have one of their quarterbacks, their backup quarterback, Hondrick Solo, because Ashton Hines is still hurt. I don't know at this point if this is a season-ending injury or if it's just a long-term injury, but, you know, Hondrick Solo doesn't do anything stupid and, you know, at least gets them to a field goal, but defense, they're going to have to find a way to contain this Eastern Kentucky running game, because Eastern Kentucky, they can certainly pound the rock. That's what they're more known for. Not the same option style as North Dakota State, Nicholls State, or Georgia Southern, but they do run the football quite a bit, and they really do rely on that man who just actually got plastered, by the way, Leon Rose. But for the fact that they're a run-heavy team, they have really struggled on fourth down, just 14% of the year, one of the worst conversion rates in the FCS, as they go back to Leon Rose down the sideline, and Rose not only picking up the first down there, but he will also pick up the touchdown, and that will mean that Eastern Kentucky, they will have the lead. So right after Eastern Kentucky takes the lead, they will be slated to kick this football off back over to the Samford Bulldogs, and Samford, they're going to put the football on the ground as well. You hate to see it. And this is where Leon Rose likes to be, following his blocks over on the toss play on the right-hand side. And it's another touchdown for the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, who will go ahead and make this a 14-3 lead. It's been quite the battle that we have experienced so far. 3rd and 6 coming up, though, as Cameron Coates drops back the pass. He's going to be looking over to the left-hand side, fires, and it's going to be caught. It's going to be caught by Chris Vaughn there. One-on-one coverage, and that's what football is all about, winning on the one-on-ones. Eastern Kentucky doing a good job with that, and eventually, hey, Mr. Carter, how have you been? Colonels get another touchdown, and they will actually take a 21-3 lead here before we get into halftime, unless Samford, led by its quarterback, true freshman Hondrick Solo, has something to say about it, as Solo tries to throw over to the left-hand side, gets a nice completion out there, and also manages to get out of bounds as well. So that does stop the clock here back when NCAA 06 was made. As for now, 3rd and 5 coming up, though. Solo trying to throw over the middle of the field, finds another receiver. That's another first down for the Samford Bulldogs as they try to march downfield and get into the end zone before we get into half. Looks like they might have one, maybe two plays at the end zone. Can Solo make a touchdown out of one of them? And he does! Touchdown, Samford Bulldogs! And they will indeed cut this game down to 14 points. But that's where the score will remain. A 2-score game going into the final quarter of action. Cameron Coates now trying to rely on his running game to try to finish out the clock. And Leon Rose, he is one of those running backs that just gets better as the game goes on. Jabari Thomas, one of your guys' customs, does make the tackle, but it does allow Eastern Kentucky to get some time off the clock. And look at this, a halfback pass that actually works. Cameron Coates actually making the reception. Little reminiscent of that good old-fashioned Philly special, famously ran by the Philadelphia Eagles, who are actually playing in the Super Bowl today. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up winning the Super Bowl. As I'm recording this video, there is no Super Bowl champion, of course, but Eastern Kentucky, what I do know, does have a pretty big lead on their hands. Samford will not be going down swinging, though. They do at least get one more touchdown on the board, and they also get the 2-point conversion too. But Eastern Kentucky, they will of course win this football game. 34-18 will be your score, and the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, they are going to be in a tie for first place in the Big Ten Conference. They are going to be even Steven with Southeast Missouri State. And like I said, man, all these conference races going to get real interesting, and it's going to get real spicy here as well. I'm excited for it. Eastern Kentucky is now going to be 7-3, so they're looking good for a playoff spot. Samford could still get in, but at 5-3, they must finish the rest of the season strong. So we have seen Northern Arizona win their game earlier on in this episode. Can Sacramento State do the same so that they can maintain their place in sole possession of first place? They will go up against Idaho State, who was off to a really fast start in non-conference play, but ever since they have fizzled out, just 1-3 in conference play. As Sacramento State, they are led by their gunslinger, Corey Hall, who has a lot of touchdown passes, 25 touchdowns, but also 17 interceptions. So you really never know what you're going to get with him, but you know what you're going to get from Chris Palmer. And Chris Palmer, he's not the reason why this team has had some struggles in conference play. It's really been the rest of the team around Chris Palmer. And it's a shame because he comes in out a pretty good season. You know, less than 5 interceptions thrown. I think he's around 20 touchdown passes. So yeah, that being said, we will see Brad Davis with the fumble, and that will be recovered by Sacramento State as well. And that will keep things all tied up at 0 apiece. But Palmer, he will throw a nice dot over to the left-hand side, and Idaho State here, they will get the touchdown, and that will be a 56-yard strike that will give the Idaho State Bengals, they will have a lead that they will be working with yet again. So now, Idaho State up 7-0. We'll see how Sacramento State responds as Corey Hall, he's going to throw it out to the right-hand side. He's going to find his favorite target in Jacob Hill. And Jacob Hill, man, he might get some NFL buzz when it's all said and done. Really has been a very consistent, productive player, and also, you know, doesn't draw very many flags on himself very often either. I mean that in a good way. You know, very classy player, this Jacob Hill guy, right? But that will set up a red zone opportunity for the Sacramento State Hornets in order to tie the game. And look who he finds again, Jacob Hill. That's going to be his 9th receiving touchdown of the season. He's been an absolute blast to watch so far this year. But Corey Hall does end up hurting himself. He's out for the rest of the game, so we won't see Corey Hall anymore. It's going to be the true freshman quarterback, Jack Quinn, who does come into the game now. He does also find Jacob Hill. He knows where that bread is buttered. And now Sacramento State finds itself in the red zone yet again. Second time today. We'll see if they can go 2 for 2. 2-2s are for dancing. And Willie Hendricks is going to be dancing his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Sacramento State. And the Hornets get another one on the scoreboard. So after being down 7-0 initially, they now have a touchdown lead themselves as Chris Palmer needs to keep up. Can he do it? No, he throws an interception. Brad Burrell out in the secondary is able to track it down from center field and bring it in, creating an additional possession for the Sacramento State Hornets. We'll see if Jack Quinn can get another touchdown pass to his name as he'll throw over the middle of the field, but it's going to be deflected away, trying to target Jacob Hill once again, but this time it lands in the arms of an Idaho State linebacker. So Jack Quinn is going to be credited with the interception, but can't put that all. Need Jacob Hill to box out a little bit better. But now Idaho State has next possession themselves, and they will take advantage. Idaho State finding the end zone. Touchdown, Bengals. And this game is now going to be all knotted up as we got ourselves a heck of a game on our hands. 2:16 left to play here in the first half, though, as Jack Quinn comes back out onto the field. Did throw an interception last possession, but he will look to make up for it as he finds Espinoza in the back of that defense. So now the Bengals in some trouble, but they try to set up the halfback screen, though. The halfback pass not working. It does not work. Jack Quinn cannot track it down, and Idaho State, we'll see if they can take advantage. But they do have a fourth down that they must convert. 4th and 8 from the 37-yard line. Dropping back, looks down the left-hand side, and Chris Palmer has a touchdown on his hands. And how about this? Idaho State putting the Hornets on upset alert. That's why you never know what can happen in conference play. It's certainly a magical thing. And the mantra, any given Saturday, really rings true here. As now the Hornets find themselves down by a touchdown, and their backup quarterback on the field as well. We'll see if Jack Quinn, we'll see if he has that dog in him. And we just checked the x-rays, and sure enough, he does. Throwing a dime out to the tight end, Trent Taylor. And look at this coverage. You can't do any better with that coverage. I don't know what you should say if you're the Idaho State defensive coordinator. Just, you know, it is what it is sometimes. But Jack Quinn will end up throwing another interception, going to that well one too many times. And Jack Quinn will be capable of making those throws. He is just a true freshman after all. But he's got to be, just do a little bit better job making better decisions. Just trying to go to Jacob Hill too many times. And that's what remains the score, 21-14 at the half. But Sacramento State does get the ball to start the second half of action, though, as Willie Hendricks will make the carry. And listen, when in doubt, just go to that running game, Sacramento State, they're more of a passing team, but that doesn't mean they can't run the football either. We'll see if they do that more often here, as Jack Quinn will drop back, fire over the middle of the field, but that will be incomplete. But more of a throwaway, if anything, though, as Jack Quinn was facing some pressure. He got absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree there. But eventually, the Hornets will drive down inside the 5-yard line, as Quinn is going to hand it right up the middle, and that's going to be a touchdown for the Sacramento State Hornets. 28-21, now your score. And Chris Palmer needs to pick things back up for Idaho State. Palmer throws over the middle, but that's going to be intercepted as well. Could be returned all the way to the crib, but instead it's going to be, it looks like Brandon Bell that made the interception and is going to be forced out of bounds. So 1st and goal from the 5-yard line now, and already a team that has been perfect in the red zone today. 4 for 4. As now Jack Quinn wants to make it 5 for 5. He wants the Wendy's value meal, and he's going to get it. Touchdown, Sacramento State. That's another one. And the Hornets have rattled off 21 unanswered points since they have been down 14-21. And now Idaho State, they're scrambling, trying to get something going, but looks like it's just not their day. And it just sometimes happens. We see that in the AFC Championship game where the Bengals they didn't bring their A game. Just like this Bengals team also did not bring their A game. And unfortunately, when you're playing a team like Sacramento State, who has a very legitimate chance of getting a first-round bye in the FCS playoffs, maybe make that deep run, you got to play your A game. And that's just not happening right now for the Idaho State Bengals, as once again, they will cash in off a turnover, get another red zone touchdown. That puts them 6 for 6 on the day in red zone opportunities in the red zone. So, very little margin for error, and they're not meeting that margin for error. Another fumble here for Idaho State allows Sacramento State to run out some clock, but before the clock is ran out, Willie Hendricks going to add a little bit of style points here for Sacramento State, and this was a very close game. This was a very close game indeed, but Sacramento State, they just completely dominate the second half of action as the Hornets, they win in very convincing fashion, winning by a final score of 49-21. So the Bengals did not have it in them, and it's a shame because, you know, Chris Palmer, yeah, this guy's off to a hot start, but it looks like Chris Palmer may be going through his entire collegiate career without a FCS playoff appearance. And that's tough unless Idaho State, they can finish the rest of the season strong, win their next few games, but that's going to be very difficult to do in a very strong conference. But now, the game that you have been waiting for all episode, we got Texas Southern going on the road, taking on the #1 team in America, the Western Carolina Catamounts, a top 5 matchup with conference implications as well. It's going to be a massive one. Hopefully, this is one for the ages, and that's why you see this as the thumbnail. You know, why would you not do that, as Dan Davis is going to be highlighted here. He already has 600 receiving yards on the season. A very solid wide receiver for the Catamounts. He might be the X factor in this one. And we'll also see Lee Corso make his pick as well. And Lee Corso, he's actually going to be rocking with the Catamounts, as we'll go ahead and get things underway as Michael Young has time to throw this football, but leaves it short, trying to target Dan Davis. Oh, what a nasty spin move. And Texas Southern gets the scoring started. That's Sean Demps. That's Stacy Demps there with his first interception of the season. Heck of a time to get your first interception under the lights, taking on that #1 team in America. So we'll see if Michael Young can shake that off as Catamounts offense gets back out onto the field. But the Texas Southern defense, we got to talk about this defense real quick. They came to play today. I'll tell you what. They are absolutely balling out. They already got 2 turnovers on Michael Young. But we'll see if Roderick Murray can do anything, or will they rely on this quarterback in Solomon West, able to get open from Adam Mayhew, as that looks like it's going to set up with like a 20, 30-yard reception. It makes it yet another red zone opportunity, as now 3rd and inches from the 2-yard line. They go to Roderick Murray, which something I would do too. You got one of the best running backs in the country, but a rarity. Ball gets fumbled, and Corey Hopkins, one of your guys' customs, he's a true sophomore. He lands on the fumble, so now it still remains a 7-0 game. Michael Young looking to go to work here, finds the fullback of all people. In a game like this, it's going to be those guys that you don't hear about very often that makes enough big plays. That's going to be the ultimate difference. Maybe that fullback could be that guy, as he's going to get the carry and he's going to finish off the drive for the Catamounts. That's how they will be getting on the scoreboard. We got a fun one here for sure. As now, still a tie ball game here in the second quarter of action. Michael Young trying to force it out to one of the receivers, but it is going to be intercepted. Demps again gets himself his 2nd interception. He didn't get an interception all season long until we got into this football game, right? That's the incredible part in all this. He's making them big plays. And now Texas Southern will take over. They're going to look to extend this lead. Mayhew fires to the right-hand side, but look who's waiting for him. It's Corey Hopkins, who also has the forced fumble. Now he's got himself an interception to his name as well. And that should keep it to 10-7 as we get to the end of the first half of action. But now in the second half, Texas Southern has the football once again. This one being a 3rd and 10 from the 37-yard line. Mayhew, he's going to try to throw deep downfield. It's got the custom Solomon West, the senior, who will now have a 37-yard touchdown to his name and throws it over double coverage. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's going to take some cojones to throw, and he certainly got it there. As now 3rd and 6 from the 49-yard line. Texas Southern with another possession on his hands, but might have a little bit of life here for the Catamounts is Pistol McNeil, who's really having a dynamic freshman year. If he's not on an All-American list, at least the freshman he's going to be on the freshman All-American list. Let's keep it real. But if he's not on that 1st or 2nd team All-American list, I'm going to fight this game. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I'm going to fight this game on Pistol McNeil's behalf. But the rest of the team not playing as well, though. Roderick Murray able to get into that 2nd level You know, that's the thing about Roger Murray, man. He's a tough runner. That's why he's one of the best running backs in the country. And right now, he's also on that Heisman list. He's trying to win himself a Heisman right now. We'll see if this can be his Heisman moment. 3rd and short from the 19-yard line. No, it's Solomon West with the carry. They faked him, and we have been bamboozled. We have been flabbergasted. And Solomon West has himself a rushing touchdown as well. Texas Southern really relying on all of his players right now. And not looking good for the Catamounts. They are in some deep trouble right now. Michael Young trying to throw to the left-hand side, but is intercepted again by Sean Demps. Michael Young's going to really think about this young man when it's all said and done. And Texas Southern, they win, and they control their destiny to get to the conference championship game. Handing the Western Carolina Catamounts their very first loss of the season. But I'll tell you what, given how both of these teams have played throughout the season, I would not be shocked whatsoever if we see these two teams play again deep in the FCS playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals type of game. This is a fun two teams to definitely keep an eye on as we are starting to get closer to the end of the regular season here in year number 5. But before we go take a look at the newest Sports Illustrated magazine that just came out, let's go ahead and take a look first at some of the later games that we did see that we did not get a chance to watch live. James Madison, they went on the road to play against Norfolk State, and James Madison, they do get on a 5-game winning streak. They've won 29-20 in James Madison. They are looking pretty good at the right time right now. As for New Mexico State, they get back on the right track, beating the St.Thomas Tommies 48-13. New Mexico State is now 7-2 as they try to get back into the top 25. San Diego State, however, takes a big-time loss in conference play to the Denver Pioneers. Denver wins 24-17. It'll be very interesting to see how far the Aztecs end up falling. Eastern Michigan, however, does have better luck in their conference action. They took on the Western Michigan Broncos in a little bit of a rivalry game, and Eagles come out on top winning 35-23. So we check out the cover of Sports Illustrated real fast, and no surprises here. Texas Southern being on that cover that we are looking for, and rightfully so. They trot over the number 1 team in the country. We'll see if they actually are rated as that number 1 team, as we'll go ahead and dive right into the top 25 polls. So this is what the top 25 polls do currently look like as we get into week number 12. Akron is sitting at number 1 in the country now, as they are the only undefeated team remaining. They do have all the first place votes. Texas Southern, they do move up to number 2 in the country after their win against Western Carolina, with Sacramento State staying put. James Madison, Sam Houston State, and Northwestern State all moving up just 1 spot. We do end up seeing where Western Carolina ends up, though. They fall to number 7 in the country after a 17-point loss against Texas Southern. I feel like this is a little bit too much of a drop, but there is a few more games left to be played, so that could always change. Northern Arizona moves up a couple spots. They had a big win against Portland State, and they're in that first round bye range now. Eastern Kentucky also moving up a couple of spots as well, as we got the Skyhawks of Tenn-Martin rounding out that top 10. They had a 20-13 win over Eastern Illinois. They're 4-2 in conference play. Outside of the top 10, though, we have Eastern Michigan up 8 spots. They've given a lot of love to the Eastern Michigan Eagles now. New Hampshire also giving a lot of love as well, as they destroyed Bethune-Cookman. So New Hampshire is now number 12 in the country. As for Eastern Illinois, they fall just 1 spot after a close game against the Skyhawks of Tenn-Martin. Southeast Missouri State, though, big loss for them, but they just moved down 5 spots. They're still in a pretty good spot for that at-large bid. Montana working themselves back into playoff contention, though. They're number 15 in the country now. Samford falling just a couple of spots. They're number 16. As for the Brown Bears, they continue their ascension as they have one of the highest rankings in the history of the Ivy League within this series. They're now number 17 in the country thanks to their big win against Harvard. Portland State lost by a big margin against Northern Arizona. sub 500 and still ranked in the top 25. Don't know how that's possible, but might be a little bit of big conference bias there. And we do also have a bunch of new teams in the fold. Nicholls State re-enters the top 25 at number 19. Georgia Southern is also back at number 20. We do also have North Dakota State hanging on by a thread. They're number 21 in the country, as is San Diego State after their upset loss against the Denver Pioneers. And then rounding out the group is Texas State, who finally gets themselves into the top 25. It's nice to see them finally get their way in. Murray State is also ranked number 24, and then Utah State is your 25th and last team. So as for the teams that ended up dropping out, we saw a lot of changes towards the bottom. Chattanooga, Weber State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Eastern Washington among the teams that dropped out of the polls. Alcorn State is hanging in there. They are the first team out of the top 25. Chattanooga, Weber State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, even teams like South Carolina State, Montana State, and Delaware are also receiving votes in this most recent top 25 poll. As for how things are shaking out in the Heisman watch as of right now, Brent Cunningham does find himself at the very top right now. His 15 touchdown catches were really boosted by a 4-touchdown performance against St. Thomas, so he's at number 1 right now. But Roderick Murray is right on his heels with 18 total touchdowns on the year. He had 150 yards in their win against Western Carolina. We also have guys like Stephen Terry hanging around. He's at number 3 at the moment, followed by Brent Treadzell, the senior quarterback from Eastern Michigan. He's got the Eagles playing extremely well right now. And another quarterback rounding out the list is the junior quarterback Dustin Arnold, who has 30 total touchdowns on the year. Wasn't very effective in their last game against Oral Roberts, just 9 for 16 and 133 yards passing. And of course, we have the NCAA Players of the Week. We have some exciting performances. We'll start on the offensive side of football. Joshua Greenwood, you saw him earlier in the episode, really tear up that Chattanooga secondary. He ends up with 7 catches for over 200 yards and 5 touchdown grabs. One of the best performances that we've seen this entire season. But not to be outshadowed, Shannon Demps from Texas Southern also playing extremely well. The senior corner ended up with 3 interceptions, which is actually his first 3 interceptions of the season. He also had a defensive touchdown thrown in there as well. So you want to talk about playing at the right time and, you know, shot when the light shines the brightest. Shannon Demps definitely falls into that category. So it's been an exciting FCS season, and we will have some more content for you guys in the next episode as, you know, we get some more clarity in those conference championship races moving forward. But not only will we have FCS game action as well, we will also have a couple of FBS games. Dare I say, a couple of your guys' custom players that did end up transferring up to an FBS school. We'll take a look at them and see how they're doing, as they're both having senior days in the next episode. So you're going to definitely want to check that out, as that will be sprinkled in the next episode as well. And I hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me, as that does really help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well if you have to be brand spanking new. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.